Okay, ready? So, next bit, cumulative data. Now, we have talked about this already. Cumulative data gives us a running total of the scores up to a particular value. What did we use the cumulative data for? Do you remember? When did we start looking at adding up frequencies? Oh, excellent.
You're finding the
Frequency.
median. Most.
I'm not going to make a facial expression now to make
Model class.
no.
The frequency table.
The mean?
The what?
The median.
The median.
Oh!
Listen, I said I'm not making facial expressions because I wanted to make sure you knew and you weren't just shouting out different averages.
I was kinda.
So we were using the cumulative frequency to find the median. Do you remember why we were doing that?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Yes, because you have to add them up, and then you have to times. Okay. And then you have to divide them.
That's to find the mean.
Sorry, wrong.
Okay, I'm gonna backtrack.
It's like why you didn't why you did median. Oh, I have to guess.
No,
Why you add them up?
not why we add them up.
I have to guess.
Ooh. Okay.
Is it because you're cutting into and the first quartile, low quartile is found by finding a median?
No, darling, you're just reading the notes. It's a nice try, but
I was gonna say, how do you know?
Alright, okay, so do you remember, to find the median, we need to find the position of the middle
Are you on the
data.
page?
Yes? Oh, easy out, Hannah.
We're on the same
Alright,
page.
so we would try, wait, so this is the page.
Wait, what happened? Oh my
Right.
gosh.
Okay, ladies, we know I really enjoy last lesson with you. Okay? Calm. So, remember, now I'm going back to a previous example. Okay?
Wow.
Previous page.
Not in this booklet.
Yes!
I can't find it. It's on page 8. It's on page 8.
Abby.
Okay, let's try and turn the drama down.
Abby, it doesn't matter. She was in the wrong board. It's fine.
I found it. We're on
Do you remember the lady that this morning she was talking about catastrophe?
Lower your standards.
You're doing that a little bit right now. You're making a huge drama about something that really isn't very important. Okay? So, I'm just bringing up this example just to highlight and remind you when we've looked at cumulative frequency. Okay?
Yeah.
So, calm yourself just a little bit. So, remember the median. The median is which kind of data? Which feature of the data?
The middle.
The middle.
Yes, Emma.
Well, when we're at the frequency table, how do we know where the middle is?
You have to add.
You have to times.
I don't know.
You're getting confused with finding the mean.
Oh,
Anyhow,
Add 1 and divide by 2
add one to what?
to the... Actually, don't know. I actually am blank.
You have to find the position.
We have to find the position of it, yes?
Yeah.
1 takes up 5, and 0 takes up 6. Right?
Other way.
5 takes up 1, 6 takes up 0. And you go until the number, and then you see the group that it's in.
Okay, so we're getting a little bit of a combination thing going on. So we, first of all, we said we need the position. That's correct. Georgie's now telling us what the table's representing. But how do we find the position? Sienna?
So there's 5 1 7 3s, and then
Careful. We need to make sure we understand what these words are
you
representing.
add up 1 plus 3 plus 9 plus 12, the frequencies, and then you get the total amount of frequencies.
Okay, so we're going to add up these values here to find the total frequency. Okay, remember, frequency tells us of the number of things going on. Yes, the number of things happening. So, this 4 tells us there are 4 11s in this data. Okay? So we've added up the total frequency. I don't recall what that is, but then what do we do, Sienna?
Then you add 1 divided by 2.
Good. So we add 1 to that number and divide that by 2. Okay, you said it was 38?
It was 38 plus 1, which is
Okay, so when we do 39 divided by 2, what do we get?
19.5.
19.5. Do we remember what that means with regard to the position that we're looking for?
It's the 19.5th position.
The 19.5th position.
Let's go in my group. So 5 takes up 1.
One second. You're going back, tracking it. Can you find the 19.5th position? How many? No? Yes? No,
I was going to say it's between 19 and then that doesn't make sense.
Between 19 and...
Oh, 20.
Yes.
Oh,
We actually need to find the 19th and the 20th bits of data. Okay? Remember, when there's an even number of data, you're going to have 2 in the middle. Okay? So you're going to need to know what the 19th one is and what the 20th one is.
But there's nothing up to 19.
Oh, I know how to do it. So this is where the thing that Georgie was trying to tell us a second ago is going to help us. Because remember, we said that this 1 tells us there was 1 5.
Oh, yes.
Okay? Starting to come back to people. Now, Indigo's had a hand up as well. Can we pass it over to Indigo just because you did start earlier? Go.
So you do 19 plus 20, which is...
Not quite. Remember, these are the positions. Okay, so we need to find the data value that's in the 19th position and the 20th position. And Taj hasn't said anything. Abby hasn't either.
Be quiet.
Taj first, and then Abby if she messes up.
And then me?
So,
You two both had a little go.
how to find the position?
Yes.
Okay, so 1 plus 0 is 1.
Okay.
1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 9 is 13. 13 plus 12 is 25. So we went past it. And basically, we would obviously know that it's 9. The answer, the 19th position and the 20th position are both 9.
Wait, there's a similar way to do it away.
To be fair, Emily, I think that was quite good.
Wait,
Can you like
can you say that?
9 is 5, then like 5 plus 6, and just like going like that, not having...
No, Angel. Okay, so you're getting confused again. Do you remember there was one question that you guys all said to me, oh, it's wrong, the answer's wrong, the answer's wrong. We all got this answer, it must be this answer. And it was because you had mixed up the frequency and the data value. And that's what you're getting confused with now. It's really, really, really important that you understand what frequency is talking about. So frequency is telling you how many pieces of data there are of that type. So this information here we're looking at are the number of people sitting at a restaurant table. Okay? So in a restaurant, they're telling us how many people are sitting at that table. So there's either 5 people, there's 6 people, 7 people, 8 people, and so on and so forth. So they are the only answers or the only responses that you would have.
And the frequency...
So if you walked into a restaurant and you're counting how many people are at a table, you're only ever counting 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 and so on and so forth. Do you understand that bit first? Hang on, I'm directing it there. Do you understand that?
I guess. I get confused.
I totally understand you're confused, man, but I'm trying to help you by explaining that you need to look for frequency. Frequency tells you how many of those things are happening. Now, quite often these numbers could be similar, and I often talk about the number of siblings. So they would be probably 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. They're not going to be high numbers, and they could very well be similar to your frequency numbers.
So which is the one where it's 5 or 6 or 7 or 8? Like, is that the mode? No, the mean.
I'm sorry, I'm not 100% sure what you mean.
Like when Taj was saying like the 19th position is either the 1 or the 12 or whatever. And she said you have to like 1 plus when you add them. What?
No, it's not. Never mind. What?
Like it's it's not in 5, obviously, or like, and then 5 plus 6, and then that plus 7. Which one's that for?
Okay, so Vintage was looking at, there was one piece of data here, yes?
Yeah.
And then looking here, there was no tables with only 6 people on, okay? So we're still only looking, we've only looked at one piece of data. Then looking at these pieces of data, we've looked at another 3. So now we've got to 4 pieces of data. So if we were to write them out on a list, we'd be writing 5, 7, 7, 7. So we've got 4 pieces of data now. Then there were 9 of 8. This restaurant must be massive. Anyway, so we've got 8, 8, 8, and we keep writing 8s until we had 9 of them. And that would then give us 13 pieces of data. Yeah?
But which is the one that I'm talking about? Is that
You talk about when we're multiplying them?
And then you add on.
I don't know, because I remember when my tutor, when we were doing position, she said, like the top, like which one it goes into.
So this is what we're talking about here. So we need to find the 19th position. Okay? So this here has taken us up to 13 pieces of data. Okay? So we've had either a 5, a 7, or an 8, and we've got to this point here. Then we're going to list 12 9s in our data. So that means that we've jumped up to the 25th piece of data, which means that we've gone past the 19th one and the 20th one. And that means that they were both in this little section here, which means they are both 9s.
Can I just have 5 plus 6 and then that plus 7?
No,
Okay.
because you're adding the data value, not the frequencies. Right. Are there other people in Amelie's situation that I'm not 100%
No,
sure?
I have a clarification.
Uh-huh.
So in this case, it always is going to say frequency, but in this case, it would be the number of tables that have 5, 6, 7,
Yes.
8, 9, or
Yes.
10 people at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Amelie, I'll go through it with you in a second because I think other people are pretty okay with it. But this I can go through with you afterwards to make sure you understand it. Now, it was good that we reviewed this because obviously we've forgotten already. But the whole thing that I'm trying to get to is that these things here are what we call cumulative data. Okay, so we're finding that there was one piece of data here. And then there was another 3 here. So this number here is the cumulative frequency that we've had up until then. Then we've got 13, 25, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that we've actually looked at cumulative frequency previously to this, but obviously perhaps it's in a slightly different format. So going back to this data here, there's a lot of words here. I'm going to talk about all those in a second. The easiest thing to do is to go through this example with you. Okay. So the table alongside shows the times 50 people spent on an exercise bike at a gym in one day. So there are 50 people and they're on an exercise bike. Firstly, what kind of data is this?
Like, you have to find the data.
Well, just tell me what kind of data is it? Remember we've looked at what different types of data? Eliana?
Discrete numerical?
Discrete numerical. Do we agree with that?
No.
Remember what discrete
No,
means?
discrete means, is it the counting one?
Yes.
Yeah, so that one. Yeah. So
Okay. Remember the other type?
continuous numerical?
Continuous. Okay. It's continuous because it's in a group
Oh,
data. Yeah.
got it.
And time is usually measured. Remember that's your help to decide what kind of data it is. Okay, so they're between 0 and 5 minutes. If there are 50 people being shown, oh no, I kind of gave that one away. Okay, what does frequency tell us in this chart?
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you.
So what does frequency tell us?
Is it the people?
Say, Abby?
Is it the people?
How do you mean the people?
Oh, is it the 50 people? Like, is it how many people spent that time on each bike?
Yeah, so frequency in this case is the number of people, yes? And you kind of also were talking about what I was going to ask you is, what should the total here be? Without even adding them up, what should the total be?
But it's not.
It is.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Okay, so why are you guys telling me it should be 50?
Because that's the amount of people.
That's how many people. Okay, perfect. So we're getting into what these words are meaning. It says here, construct a cumulative frequency table. So what I've done is I've snipped the table and put it next to it. And we're going to say now, add a column on the end. And we're going to write cumulative frequency. Remember, I'm lazy bones, I've just put CF. So cumulative frequency. Now, the very first number in the cumulative frequency table is always going to be the same number as the first number in your table. So it's always going to be, in this case, 5.
What is it? Cumulative?
Cumulative.
Think of like cumulative.
That's
I spelled that.
at the very top of the page, Simon.
Oh, okay, thank you.
G. All right. Shh. Not really appropriate, was it? So what's the next number I'm going to write in my cumulative frequency table? Indigo. Remember cumulative frequency. So what did we say we were doing? We were adding them up as we go.
Oh, so 15.
Careful. Tell me what you're trying to calculate in your head.
5 plus
5 plus?
5 plus 8.
Yep, which is?
Oh yeah. 13.
Good. Okay, so the next cumulative frequency, Hannah.
23.
Lovely jubbly. The next one, Kelsey.
Miss Harrison, how is it 23? Wouldn't it be 20?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so Emily, remember. So this one is this number here.
Yeah.
And how do we get this one? We're going to add these two numbers together, yes?
Oh.
So what's 5 plus 8?
Oh.
Then this one here is going to be all 3 of these numbers added together. So that's going to now be 23. The next one, vintage. 44. And the last one,
50.
50. Now, when you're doing this yourself, if you get to the end and you do not have your total frequency, something's gone wrong. Okay, you've probably made a silly mistake in your addition. You may have pressed the wrong number on your calculator if you use your calculator. Please look out for this here. It should be your total frequency. Now, if the question hasn't told you what your total frequency is, then you want to work it out yourself. Just add the numbers up and make sure that you've got them all there. Okay? Right, so
Sorry. 5 plus 8 was 13, and then 13 plus 10 was... Okay, then I'm good now.
trace the ants. Okay. B, it says represent the data on a cumulative frequency graph. Right, this is going to be fun. Now, this was another rubbish graph paper on the bottom. Can you see it or not?
Can you give us a second to go over it?
Go over what?
Go over it. Do you mean like make it clearer?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to plot the end points and the cumulative frequencies. Now, unfortunately, sometimes people get these confused because they see a little range and they're like, oh, yes, I remember. I need to find the midpoint. Well, when did we use the midpoint value? Which calculation were we doing when we were using the midpoint of group data?
Mean?
That's when we were finding the mean. Do you remember? So when we had a range of numbers, we had to find the midpoint in order to find the mean value. Okay? But for cumulative frequency, we're going to just use the end point. Okay? So we're going to use the highest number in the range of values that we have. We're going to plot those as coordinates with the cumulative frequency. So frequency and cumulative frequency, which axis do you think that's going to go on? The vertical or the horizontal? I only see, well, I saw half a hand up and then it went down. Amy, which one do you think it is?
The frequency?
Yep.
On the vertical.
Good. Frequency is always going to be on your vertical axis. Okay, so in this case, our cumulative frequency is going to be on our vertical axis. Now, you are going to choose a sensible scale. You have to represent from 0 up to 50 on your cumulative frequency. Now, remember, you are not always going to be told what scale to use. You have to decide a sensible one. So you're going to look at the piece of paper that you've been given and decide a good scale. Are you going to go up in tens? Are you going to go up in fives? You are going to decide what is sensible. Sarah is suggesting fives.
No, that's too small, then you'd have too much left over.
We're one line short.
I think you're a little bit out there.
That makes it the exact. I'm making an extra line because I missed it.
That's your other option, Vintage. I love it.
Oh,
She's made another line.
For 0. Oh no.
Okay, that has enabled her to then go up in fives.
No, but then you have to, don't you have to, like draw the little lines and like boxes again?
I'm not 100% sure what you're saying to me.
I'm doing nothing fives.
Just make another room.
So, how many I just didn't understand your question or comment? Hello?
Oh, it's fine.
Okay.
She was asking if we have to draw all the lines.
Okay, so that's our cumulative frequency, which means which numbers are going to go on the horizontal axis?
Time.
Our time. Okay, so we're going to label it with time, and we're going to find the numbers from 5 to 30. Okay, so make sure we've written time. I'd suggest perhaps in brackets minutes. Yes, we're going to be very accurate, and we're going to label them 5 to 30. Make sure that you've got an even scale. And then you're going to plot them as coordinates. So you're going to plot a coordinate of 5, what?
5.
5, lovely, jubbly. So 5, 5. Then we're going to plot what?
10, 13.
10, 13, thanks. 10, 13. Now, I've got a label between 10 and 15. This is normally where I go, where are you going to put 30?
In between the two.
In between. Perhaps a little bit or higher than half. Okay? You're not going to plot it right up here because that's way too close to 15. You're not going to plot it down here because that's way too close to 10. You just need it somewhere that represents 13. Okay? It's not going to be the end of the world if it's not perfectly on the number 13. Yes, am I?
Do you have to write the coordinates with that?
No, you do not.
Wait.
Okay, and you're going to continue plotting your points. So the next one is going to be
23 and 20.
Be careful, it's the end point of the group.
15, 20.
15, 23. And then
Then it is 20, 30.
20, 34.
It's 35.
35.
Then it is 25, 44.
25, 44.
Then 30, 50.
Then 30, 50.
Ooh, makes a line.
I should have really, it's more normally a curve. Now, this is where your skills at joining points up. You do not use a ruler, okay? However much you're tempted to, you do not use a ruler.
I was ready.
Okay? And you're going to start here at 0, 0, and you're going to join them now as best you can. Now, a tip for you is to try and look at the points that you're heading towards with your pencil. Pencil, FYI. Whoops. Miss Daya, is that the pen you're using? You need to ask Santa for one then, because it's really important that you have a pencil when you're doing that. Okay? You're not going to be using a pen, because if you make a big boo-boo, it's going to be a horrible mess. Whiteout is not allowed.
Can we stop at the
Yes, you can stop the last one.
Is it supposed to be like?
In an exam, no.
Really? Oh.
Yes.
So we might connect the dots, right?
Yes. You're going to try and do it in as smooth a curve as possible. So I would prefer not to see something like this. If secretly the point was down here. Okay? We need to try and make sure it's as smooth as possible. Because we're now going to use this graph here to find some more information. Okay?
I did it all wrong.
Now, we said that this here was our cumulative frequency. Okay, so it goes from 0 up to 50. We talked about the median value. Where is the median value located?
In the middle.
In the middle. So what's the middle of 0 and 50?
25.
15.
Whatever they said.
25.
0 and 50. What's half of 50? Yeah? So it's at 25, which means that our cumulative frequency curve can help us, because if we find the value of 25 here, what we would do is we would read across until we meet our cumulative frequency graph. Okay? We would then extend that down here, and we would read off the value from the time axis.
What are we doing?
So this is finding the median value.
So it was 12.
So we found at 25, why did we choose 25?
It's the middle.
It's the middle, it's half of 50. We read across to the until we get to the graph, we draw a line down, and we read this value here. Now, in a test and exam, there will generally be a little range that we would accept. Now, that's because each person's graph may be slightly different. If they have given you a graph, then it's less likely there's going to be a range accepted. But if you have been asked to draw the graph, then there will be a little range accepted. So one of you might say that that's 16, one of you might say it's 17. The important thing is that when you're
15?
when you're-
I didn't get 15 at all.
I've got a little bit more than 15 personally. The important thing is when you're drawing these lines, please feel free to use a ruler. However, you do not want your ruler to be wonky and you're drawing a vertical line that looks like that. Now, a couple of you just sniggered. I've seen that so many times. I'm sure Miss Aiken may have done too. People's vertical lines not so vertical sometimes. So you need to make sure that when you're putting your ruler on there that it's actually straight. Okay, or as straight as possible. Now you're not taking 25 minutes to do that, because I know some of you are a little bit perfectionist.
Good talk.
You're just making sure that it's as straight as you think you can in the time allocated. So then, as I said, when you read off the numbers, there may be a slight range accepted. Okay? Yes.
So when do we have to do this bit?
If you're asked to find the median
Can you
data.
scroll up so I didn't see the blue?
See the what, sorry?
There, that's good. I didn't see the 50.
Why?
Why is it blue?
Because we were
It was blue.
Because I thought that would make it clear that we would find
No, up there, the 50. I think she just changed
I just changed pen. Is it one of those important things?
Yes.
Go.
No,
No, it's not.
it's not.
Not really, no.
Georgie. Like 15.5 is hard to be a whole number.
It doesn't have to be a whole number, no, but you just have to be careful that you're getting something sensible. So if it's halfway between them, you're going to be saying something like 17.5. And sometimes if it's a little bit too far away, people have said 15.5, it's probably, as I say, you just want to be as accurate as you can. Now, reading off a scale like this, you're not going to be able to say it's 15.26 or 15.73. Okay? So you've got to be sensible about the answer you're giving.
So, would you say the final answer is 15?
On my graph, I would probably say 16.
So I predicted the future.
Ooh.
What?
I'm still confused.
Okay. Right, let's go actually back up to the question, because I can't even remember what they've asked us to do. So, that was finding the median. Okay, so this here is what we've done. We found the median time spent on the bike because we found the middle of the cumulative frequency. We read our value, and I found mine was 16 minutes. If you found yours was 15, you write 15. If you found it was
How come you got
17, you put 7.
How did you get 16? How did you get 16?
The bottom.
My line
The little
that
line.
I drew when it was straight went down to here, which I read off to be 60.
511 minutes.
Then I think something's gone wrong.
How can...
A full sentence is going to help me, Abby. I can't answer it. How come?
No, but because you have to go across the point, and the point was at 15:24, so like just before 25. How could you no, we had to go, 25 was halfway, and then...
So 25 was on this axis, the vertical axis. We put a ruler across until we got to our line. So wherever your curve is, wherever your graph is, you stop and then you draw a vertical line down here and you read off this number from this axis.
Okay.
Okay? So it's going to be something between 15 and 17.
I thought 13.
I'll look at yours in a second. I think we've labeled stuff incorrectly. Alright, now let's look up back the actual question. So it says we've missed part C. Oh gosh, it's always stressing me out a little bit. Now, here's a phrase that's also important. It says use your graph to estimate how many people. That means you're not looking at your neighbour and the graph that they've drawn. You're not working out in some other fancy pants way. You're using your graph. If you're using your graph, you need to show the person marking it that you're using your graph. That probably means drawing on your graph. I would suggest using a ruler for these kinds of things and leaving those marks on there. It's not wrong to have them there. And that's what the person marking will be looking for. Sometimes these questions are worth 2 marks. One for the marks that you've written on the graph and one for your answer. Okay, so there's only one way of showing working on these things, and that's by looking for these marks. So it says, estimate how many people use the bike for less than 12 minutes. So here we need to look at the unit that they talked about, minutes. Which of my axes were looking at minutes? The vertical or the horizontal?
The horizontal.
Horizontal. So what we're going to do is we're going to find 12 on our horizontal axis. We're going to find 12 minutes. Now mine's a bit of a big fat mess now. So it's going to be between the 10 and the 15, yes? Is it going to be nearer the 15 or nearer the 10?
Near the 10.
Slightly more nearer the 10, okay? So you're going to find 12. What do we think we're then going to do? Anyone want to guess how we can find how many people? I'll give you a hint. It's similar to how we found the median value. It's similar.
You do it upwards.
Maya? So we found 12 minutes on our time axis.
Do you draw the line up
Yes.
and where it hits that line?
The curve.
Yeah. So that's where it's across.
Exactly correct. So you're going to place your rule, you're going to find 12, You're going to put your ruler as straight as you can. Draw a line up until it hits your curve. Well, hang on, we've got a but. We haven't even done anything just yet, okay? So we've drawn our line up until it hits your curve, then you draw a horizontal line, and you're going to tell me what number that is.
And that was funny. About 14.
Okay, again, I think the table was incorrectly, so I don't need to be rude, but I don't think your answers are going to be correct. We need to check what you've done.
I got 15.
Then use any straight edge.
Wait, 2.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of confused. What's the definition now?
Right, so we're finding how many people have 12 rows at 12 minutes. So we used the fact that it was minutes to help us decide which axis to look at. Which axis is the minutes on? Yep, so you're going to find 12 on there.
Yeah.
Then you're going to draw a vertical line using the ruler up to the curve that you've drawn. Not past the curve, not below the curve. This graph you drew, darling.
So, 10.
I don't know. I'm so confused. I'll come and look at yours. The next one here, I'm going to leave you to have a go at. And then we're going to come and check answers. More than 23 minutes. I want you to have a go at that one and think about how you're telling me your answers. So, Georgie's just checked the more than, less than. Okay, now, for the 12 people, this is up to 12 minutes, yes? So that means that these number of people, whatever value you got, did you get 15, 16, something like that?
Does it have to be on the line? Or can it, no?
Does it have to be on the line?
For 23, for me, that's like not really on the line. Is that okay?
I'm not sure what that means.
On like one of the lines where it's like that?
It doesn't have to be on one of the grid lines, no, darling. Just
No,
has,
I mean like...
yeah?
I mean like these. I'm not sure.
That's a grid line.
It doesn't have to.
No. Alright, so we've got around 15 or 16 people, yes? So those people got 12 minutes or less, okay? Now, the next question talked about, what was it, 23 minutes?
Yeah.
But it was more than 23 minutes. So if I was doing mine, I'd probably have maybe 41, 42. Is that what you've got? Or
I have 35.5. I have 35, right? Yeah.
I got 40.
I got 39. I got 40.
Same, I got 39.
I got 37.
Me and Hannah got
Anyway,
35.
okay, I'm just gonna go with 40 just for the crap. Okay, so something around that. Whatever. I think my graph's pretty rubbish. So I'm gonna say we've got 40. Now, this is the tricky thing because they've said people that cycled for more than 23 minutes. So you have to think carefully here. This point here was 23 minutes. So all of these people to the left was cycling up to 23 minutes. It's just these people here that cycled more than it, yes? Which means that all of these people here cycled up to 23 minutes. How many people cycled more than 23 minutes?
Would it be 90 people?
Be careful, I've only got maximum 50. Okay, so bless you, up to 40 people cycled 23 minutes. How many people must have cycled more than 23 minutes? Good, 10. How did we get that?
I got 11.
So we did gravy.
Because, like, if it starts more, it would be 40 and up. And
Good.
you can only go to 50.
Exactly. So it's the difference between the maximum and the value that we got. Okay? Is that clear?
Yeah.
So more than, we need to make sure we're reading our questions carefully and saying, so we're still finding the value here the same way, but you have to do that one extra step. And you're going to do your total frequency, subtract that number. Okay? Are we good? Right, let me give you some worksheets to have a go at.